Hi, this is ENilhas, and this is my video on educational career timeline. So when I decided to become a teacher, I was in high school when I was also working as a volunteer in some programs for students with special needs with cerebral palsy. And I found that that was something I really loved to do. So I started researching and I discovered that in Paraguay, we don't have a special education program for teachers, but I went to take on our early education in the Universidad Católica Nuestra Señora de la Asunción in Asunción, where I lived back then. So it was a 3-year program where I learned lots about early education, and to this day is something I'm very passionate about. When I graduated or when I finished that program, my first teaching job was in a very small daycare center that was with full immersion programs in English, full immersion program in English. So that was only in the mornings. And then in the afternoons, the next year, I was hired in a bigger, it was a school that was for students pre-K-12. That was a very big private school that is called the Colegio Internacional. And so they hired me to work with students in the afternoon as an ESL teacher. So I would teach English in their classrooms with preschoolers. So I kept my morning job for the early education center and the afternoon job, and they were all connected in English. So after a while, I had the opportunity of buying part of that early education center. So I became a partner and I bought 30% of it. And in 1999, I sold that part and I bought 50% of another preschool. And so I kept my job in the Colegio Internacional teaching English for preschoolers in the afternoon for the whole time. In 2003, I was offered the position of the director of an early education program in another private school. The name of that school was San Ignacio de Loyola. And what this school wanted is to open an early education center. This school had already pre-K to 12 grades, and they wanted to start with even 2 years old. And they wanted me to establish and manage a full immersion program in English for the all the way to kindergarten. So that was my first job as an administrator. It was a huge learning curve. And so I had to learn a lot as I went. So I had to manage the building, facilities, hire teachers, supervise them, manage the relationship with the parents, the curriculum. And so it was a big learning curve. 2008, I was offered a job in Colegio Internacional again. This time was not as a teacher. They wanted me to go and manage the high school curriculum in English for students that were interested in going to the United States to study in university. So I was managing the curriculum and teachers all the way from 7th grade to 12th grade back then. So it was very nice. I became kind of a jack of all trades there because I also had to be the counselor. I worked together with College Board, working with their applications for universities. I had to learn how to do that because I never done that before myself. I never went to university in the States, or by then I have very little experience with the States. So I had to learn a lot as well, which for me was very challenging and therefore was great. Also, we worked with Common App. We worked with, we had a debate club in English. So it was pretty awesome. But I stayed in that position only for 2 years because after 2 years in the same school, Colegio Internacional, the director general asked me to open a full immersion program in English for the same school. The thing is that this school was not having many students in early grades, so they wanted to fill up the grades. And they know that this is a great strategy in Paraguay. If many parents, if they can afford it, they will pay for their kids to go to a private school and a bilingual school, and their kids will grow bilingual. So the parents really invest in their kids' education in the early years. Um, so yes, I opened this full immersion program in English, and it grew very fast. By the end of it, when I left, we had about 300 students and over 10 classrooms with teachers and paraprofessionals and everything that a small building like that would have. And so again, I have to take care of the curriculum, facilities, leadership. I would be in charge of supervising, hiring teachers. And so it was my third job as an administrator. In 2014, my husband and I moved to Cartagena, Colombia. He took a job as a high school teacher in an American school in Colombia, in Cartagena. And I got a job as a first grade teacher. And that was my first homeroom teacher experience ever. And so this was an American school that was a full immersion program in English again. And my students were mostly Colombian who did not speak English. So I was, by that time, I was very used to the sink or swim approach. So my students were speaking English, and 6 months later, and they were reading and writing and doing everything any other student in this United States does very quickly. And I learned a lot about Common Core standards. I learned about assessment data. We had the NAA test. So it was a great learning curve for me, again, because I was outside of my comfort zone. After that, we moved to Littleton, New Hampshire. In Littleton, I moved here because my husband got a job as a superintendent of schools in this town. And I went to another town, another district, and I was hired to be an early education, a special ed teacher. Even though I loved special education, I had no background, knowledge, or education in that area, but I was hired anyways. And at the very same year, I started my classes, the master's degree in Fort Hays State University. So my first job as an early, special ed teacher was in grades 3 to 5. I've never been with those ages before. And I was a case manager. I had to learn lots about laws and paperwork and everything that had to do with the state and federal laws about special ed. And in 2019, I completed the program. And in 2020, I started my building administration program here at Fort Hays State University. After 5 years of being a special ed teacher, I went back to early education, where I now hold this position. I am in the same district. I'm a home road teacher and special ed case manager for preschool students in my district. So what is in the future for me? Well, right now, what I'm doing is I'm working on my e-portfolio and practicum. So I expect to finish this this spring. And I'm also working really hard on my accreditation and credentials as an early education teacher here in New Hampshire. I have to take different exams to get the accreditation, and also have to have a big portfolio and oral exam. And so by the fall, I expect to have my accreditation, to be working on my accreditation, and to be a build administrator here in New Hampshire. Once I graduate from Fort Hays, I need to see what else, or what other requirements my state have. I do not have plans to become an administrator anytime soon, like I would say in the next year or two, because I am thinking that that might require me to maybe move south. And so I will explore my options. Of course, the superintendent in my district, she's been asking me when do I finish my accreditation. It seems like she has something in mind for me. We'll see. I really would like a new challenge. And the last question that we needed to answer is when do I plan to retire? I don't know. I don't plan to retire anytime soon. I only have 5 to 6 years working in New Hampshire, so I need to work many more years before I am eligible to retire. So I do not plan to retire anytime soon. And I hope to be an administrator by the spring or by the fall of 2023. Thank you for watching my video.